So tell me, what is the hardest thing for you having a daughter? Is there something that you wish that you could help her to see so clearly the way that she was made and how it is good and how she can help support and really encounter the Lord through her own biology? That's exactly what we were unpacking during my 5-week Created to Flourish webinar. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Just some takeaways I have from our first mother-daughter class.
Welcome to Health and Hormones. I am your host, Rita Johnson. Here we talk about all things related to health, hormones, natural living, and those amazing bodies that God has given you and how to take care of them better. I'm so glad you're here.
So I just wrapped up my first cohort of my mother-daughter group class called Created to Flourish. And I wanted to talk about some amazing takeaways that I saw in our time of doing this class, because it was so life-giving to these mothers and these daughters, and truly to myself as well, that I just wanted to sum up some of the amazing big picture takeaways. So in this mother-daughter group class, it was a short 5-week course, and we actually only had 4 weeks where the mothers and the daughters were on together. The first week was just for moms only, but it was so beautiful to really walk through with these girls and these moms about mind, body, soul health. What does that mean? What does that look like? And then giving them concrete takeaways and how they can help support their overall health right now. So this was a lot of deep diving into what is common and what is normal, and how can we help support our overall health and identify things that are not working as they should so we can move forward in supporting our overall health. So we talked about things like thought models and how do we identify negative thoughts that are keeping us stuck, and also then how do we reorient our ability to perceive a situation that maybe before was something that was bringing us down or not allowing us to really live our life to the fulfillment of what the Lord has calling us to, but instead to identify that, hey, this is a thought or this is something that's happened that is not serving me well, and how can I, instead of allowing that to dominate my life and my thought patterns, how can I reformat that, whether that's something that's deep in our subconscious or a bit more apparent. Truly, this thought work, and the reason I wanted to talk to girls about it was because this is something that was new to me in my mid-30s. And I know that it's something that if I could have gone back and learned about this in my teenage years, I think I would have been really shocked at the way that could really change and shape my life and the things that I was living through and experiencing just by looking at the way that I thought or perceived a situation. So we did some deep dive there. We spent a lot of time on what does it mean to be a woman, not just in terms of our hormones and our cycles and all of that amazing stuff, but what does it mean to be made on purpose and for a purpose? And that everything in our body, every system, every function in our body is made on purpose and for a purpose. I loved so much that we spent some time journaling in these classes, and I may actually incorporate more of that in future classes, because I found that when the girls and the moms would pause and journal, that we had a lot more fruitful conversations, things that they noticed came up, and then we could talk through them together, which was just really beautiful and very life-giving. So we explored a little more of that spiritual side of being a woman. What does it mean to be a receiver? And what is it that our cycle is showing us about who and how God created us to be, and the way that that is different from our male counterparts. And then of course we did a lot of deep dive into our physical health. How do we support it? How do we know that something is maybe not working as it should, whether that's an imbalanced blood sugar, whether that's really identifying signs and symptoms that we might struggle with, and we're told, again, this is common, but it's not normal. And so is it like things like pain in your period? Are you being recommended that you take hormonal birth control? What are some alternatives, things we could try instead that are actually going to help dive deep into the root cause of what is going on, and then support your body from there? We talked a lot about our relationship with food and why that's so important to our physical health, and talking about food as neither good nor bad. It's not it's amoral. It's not something that if we eat bad food, we are bad. And how does that shape this conversation? Why we should say no to diet culture and what it looks like to really support our optimal health and how we should feel when we're able to do that really well. And it was just so beautiful to see, again, the conversations, the questions that the girls brought up. It just showed me that we were really right where we should have been, that the Lord had arranged these conversations at this time in these girls' lives to really help them to dive deep into helping to support their overall health and their long-term health and fertility. As I have been promoting and talking more about the importance of speaking to young girls about their cycles and their hormones, I'm realizing that for some moms, it is a bit of a block that we have, that we don't want to give them too much information too early, because they might use that information, whether it's something like they learn how to chart their cycles and then they know when they're fertile. And so when they know when they're infertile, then they become more promiscuous or maybe sexually involved. But what I am seeing happen in these girls' hearts is actually very different. It's much more of an eye-opening, comprehending that these things don't have to hide behind a wall of shame. Things like the fact that we have a menstruation, it's not a shameful thing. This is something that we all experience. We experience it every month for about 40 years of our life, and that is good, that the Lord made us good in all of these intricacies, all of these interworkings. And so this is just my huge takeaway from this class. It's not only that these girls were so excited to learn more about how they could help support their body and their overall health, but also that the moms learned a lot and were able to step away from the conversation maybe they were having with their daughters and instead be able to be alongside of their daughter, learning alongside of them, so that they could have some of these conversations in a more fruitful way. Especially if they were noticing some things that their daughter might have started to struggle with, or maybe was controlling or being a little more manipulative about what's on her plate. Not that she's being manipulative in their relationship, but more in terms of like wanting to control what's on her plate, what's going into her body, because she isn't happy about something, or she's trying to change the relationship that she has with her body or with food. And I just saw a lot of aha moments, a lot of greater understanding. And I really felt that the Lord used this opportunity just to let us be a tool in His hand for these mothers and daughters. And that is what I pray the classes in the future also feel that way, that I am just able to, through prayer and being obedient to His call to step out in faith, that we can have these conversations in a manner that helps support you as the moms and the daughters to be able to communicate more effectively, to understand more the amazing body that you've been given and how better to take care of it as a temple of the Holy Spirit. So if you're curious about what, is some of the feel of this class, I do have a free webinar called Created to Flourish. And the Created to Flourish webinar is more about cycles and hormonal shifts that happen throughout the month, and how to work with your hormones with different exercises and nutrition changes throughout the month, and also know what to expect and understand those emotional shifts that happen throughout the month